Okay, welcome, good evening, buenas noches. Before we continue in English, I want to share a brief message in Spanish, so just bear with us for a moment. Esta conversación se llevará a cabo en inglés, pero puede escuchar en español llamando al 929-205-6099. El número es 929-205-6099, usando el código 839 2881-9618. Repito, 839-2881-9618 y pulsen el signo numeral. También tendremos subtítulos en español. Las instrucciones de cómo activar los subtítulos los ponemos en los comentarios, así que estén pendientes a eso. Y por supuesto, cualquier pregunta o comentarios que tengan en español los pueden poner. Nosotros le haremos las preguntas aquí al grupo. Okay, thank you for joining today's Community Town Hall, the latest in our series to provide our Safer College program families and neighbors with resources during this COVID-19 pandemic. As many of you know, the NYC Kids Rise Safer College program provides a way for all of us, families, schools, neighbors, and partners throughout our city to work together to build a financial foundation for our students' educational futures. I'm Carolina Valencia, Director of Communications and Digital for NYC Kids Rise, and together with our team, we join you in celebrating the last week of school, and for many of you, your children's kindergarten graduations. Before we get started, we have a special message from our NYC Kids Rise team who you've talked to, texted with, emailed with, and partnered with to support your child's future success. So, take a look.
Congratulations, college and career-going class of 2032. This moment is just one of the many celebrations on your child's educational journey.
We join you in celebrating their kindergarten graduation.
And in celebrating the work our community has done through the NYC Kids Rise Safer College program.
We're so proud to work with you to build savings for your child's educational future.
Did you know that your child is one of 10,000 teen students that has money for their college and career training?
It's true. As a District 30 student, your child is enrolled in the Safer College program unless you opt out.
This means your child has an NYC scholarship account which has an initial $100 deposit from NYC Kids Rise.
Now you can go activate your child's NYC scholarship account to see these funds.
Just for activating your child's NYC scholarship account today, you will earn an additional $25 in rewards for their future.
Activating your account is your long-term access to see how these funds evolve over the next 12 years. So here's how you can get started.
First, have for your reference your child's student ID number.
Then visit nyckidsrise.org and then click View My Account.
Click on Get Started and then Continue.
Enter your child's student ID number, date of birth, and zip code.
Enter your name, email address, and create a password.
Review the term of service and click on Agree to continue.
Then click on Create Profile.
Complete the survey and remember, all the questions are optional. Then hit Submit.
If you would like our NYC Kids Rise team to assist you,
si le gustaría que nuestro equipo de NYC Kids Rise le asisten,
আপনি যদি আমাদের NYC Kids Rise teamer সাহায্য চান,
call us at 1-833-543-7473 or email us at info@nyckidsrise.org.
Llámenos a 833-543-7473 o envíe un correo electrónico a info@nyckidsrise.org.
আমাদের কল করতে পারেন at 1-833-543-7473 অথবা আমাদের ইমেল করতে পারেন info@nyckidsrise.org.
The Safer College program is a way for all of us, families, schools, communities, and our entire city to work together to build a foundation for all of our children's futures. Congratulations to all the parents, caregivers, and schools for all the support that you have provided this past year. We look forward to continuing together on this journey. May the best be yet to come.
Well, so congratulations to all our families for the incredible effort, especially in these times, to support your child's success. I am excited to welcome this amazing group who will share information, practical examples, and resources for your family to keep children active and learning during the summer amid COVID-19. Families, want to remind you to please put your questions in the comments. If you have ideas of activities that you want to share with other families here, put them in the comments and we'll also share them here during the town hall. As a reminder, you can put your questions in Spanish and Bangla. We have our team looking through the comments and we'll share them back here with the group. So here with us is Nicole Beinhorn. She's one of the instructional leads in Queens North for the New York City Department of Education. She will share resources from the Department of Education as well as where to access virtual field trips, literacy and curriculum-based resources. Eleni Gerasimou, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, our teacher at Steinway Elementary School, PS 84, and a special hello to our PS 84 community and all our schools in School District 30. If you're watching us, tell us in the comments what school you're from. Eleni will share practical examples and ideas for activities you can do indoor and outdoor with children with and without supplies. Gillian Miller, coordinator of early learning for Queens Public Library, will provide families with information about the library's summer programming, as well as how you can access their ebook collection and ways you can engage your children this summer. Ebony Young, former executive director for LIC YMCA and one of our Safe for College program ambassadors, will speak to ways you can keep your children active and safe and balance their social curiosity. We're also going to have Senator Jessica Ramos join us later during the town hall to share the importance of being counted for the 2020 census as part of your summer activity. So stay tuned for her participation later in the town hall. So let's get started. Here we are at the end of the school year, still in a pandemic, but now trying to get used to a new normal. As we continue wearing masks, practicing social distancing, now our parks and beaches are open and it's summertime. Gillian, before we get into the activities, whether at home or outdoors, can we talk about the conversations we need to have with children, especially if, let's say, your child sees someone they know and runs to hug them? What should parents consider doing to prepare?
Absolutely. So families, one of the questions that comes up at Queens Library a lot in the past few months, specifically from our parents, our families, are exactly that. What do we do when our children are just not used to or not understanding social distancing now that things are opening and they're going out? So you want to make sure that you have a plan in place. You need to know who's in your quarantine circle. So maybe it's just your immediate family, maybe it's your extended family, cousins, grandparents, maybe it is your neighbors. But you want to make sure your child knows who is in your quarantine circle and knows exactly what it is that is expected of them amongst that circle and people outside of the circle. So again, you want to make sure that you talk to them about your plan and that they get to be a part of the plan. The other thing you do want to keep in mind is when you're using terms like social distancing, you as a parent or caregiver, you want to make sure you're always using the same words to represent something. So if you're telling your child you are social distancing, you explain to them that that means we're, keeping a distance from friends or people outside of our circle. And anytime you interact, you want to make sure that you're using that same word. So if it is social distancing, that you're always using the word social distancing. If it is keeping away, then you're going to want to repeat the words keeping away. Children as young as 2 can understand these repeated phrases as long as they know the context and it's the same phrase. It's natural that we would interchange different phrases because we understand, but make sure you have it written down to remind yourself what it is that you're going to be telling your children so that they hear it over and over again and they know, and make sure that they know the plan. Staying away, staying close, wearing their masks, moving across the street when you walk around, all of those things are important to have a plan ahead of time.
Thank you, Gillian. These are such important points to keep in mind. The consistency, repeating the same words so that there's no miscommunication and you and your children are on the same page. And we've heard throughout the town halls with parents and experts and even our families have shared the importance of the dialogue with children and what are they understanding, sharing what the plan is. So these are really a great reminder, for families to keep in mind. Ebony, I want to go over to you around social curiosity, how wonderful that is, and also how can families consider balancing that with social distancing, just building a little more on what Gillian was sharing. And so how important is also physical activity as we're dealing with loss and isolation, anxiety, while trying to stay safe, especially as we see other states on the rise with cases.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But first, what I'd like to tell the parents is that we are so here to celebrate you. For the past 6 months, you've been locked up and locked down with your children, trying to balance all of this. In a lot of ways, you need wellness too, and not just the children. So we want to talk a little bit about the ways that we balance all of that. So it is, I think you do need to understand that you have a circle and kids understanding their boundaries, but social distancing does not mean that a smile doesn't work or waves don't work or, a gesture of kindness from afar doesn't work. So I think we can still teach kids how to be curious and kind through social distantly engaging with people. So as we're walking on the street and someone's across the street and you see a friend or somebody that wave your hand, tell them hello from a distance, yell across the street, and that's okay. So in order for kids to still keep their kindness in all of this, I think it's imperative that we teach them how to speak differently and show up differently with their friends. It may not be how it's been in the past, but we still have an opportunity to be kind as we are socially distancing. So I will circle that back around to wellness. I think we do the same thing with wellness. There are parks all around this city that are underutilized, that you can go and do research on under Parks and Rec and find ways that you can take a segment of the space, of the land there, and have your children run around, play fun games with them, tag, bring caution tape as a part of the game to put in a circle, a large circle, and say, we're going to play tag within this circle and make it fun for them, right? I think we have to be creative enough to do that, but not just us. I think we need to really help kids remain curious by asking them the right questions, right? Here is where we are today in society. Explain to them what's happening, why it's here, what it allows us to do or not to do, and then talk them through what is it that we can do? What do you feel like you can do within the circle? Let them come up with the fun. Add value to what they're talking about. I think it's really important for our kids to be a part of that. As children ourselves, when we went out to play, right, we had no parent guiding our play, right? So how do we get kids to go back to guiding their own play with being safe? So I think these are some ways that we can think about moving forward.
I love that, Ebony. Yeah. I love that because it goes back to the point of let's hear what they're saying, what ideas they have. You don't have to have all the answers. Don't make assumptions about what they're thinking. And so now that we have had the talk with them, made the plan, let's start with what we can continue doing in the home, what resources are available. There's so much. Nicole, talk to us about what sort of tools are available through the Department of Education and other things families can consider, like virtual trips, for example.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Carolina. You're definitely correct. I feel like for students, families, us, educators, it can feel super overwhelming because there is just so much out there. So where do we begin? But the good news is that there is so much you can do, really to keep your kids learning and growing, staying safe, and really having fun. So first, I just want to bring up and mention a few resources that the DOE has actually put out, which I feel like is a good starting point. The first is Teach Hub. Your students and some of you guys as parents might be familiar with that as well. But it's basically a one-stop shop for resources that are being pushed out by the DOE. Now that everybody has access to computers or iPads, many of these resources your kids are already using. They are constantly updated. The best part is they are free. Free is me and free is all of us. So that's a great place to start. And your kids will have access to that throughout the entire summer. So there's apps, there's websites, it's all housed in the Teach Hub. And I believe the next resource was mentioned from a previous town hall. But if you visit the DOE webpage, there's a Learn from Home site. That also, in addition to the Teach Hub, is continued to be updated with tips or tricks to keep your kids learning and how you can support them in that process together. And then we want to make sure kids are also just having fun and that you're having fun with them. This is a crazy learning environment. So not only do we want to keep them learning, but we want them to have fun. And like Carolina mentioned, this is where virtual field trips come in. I think this is one of the best things to come out of remote learning, because you get to travel to places that you never have been to as a family. You can bring other family members in and travel to basically anywhere. So there's a ton of great virtual field trips out there. I know the Smithsonian has some, the American Museum of Natural History, along with some other resources. So definitely want to emphasize that. And then I really want to make it, sometimes simple is better. I want to emphasize that point. And really, what is more simple than reading? At least I think so. But really getting your kids to read just for 20 minutes will have truly a lifelong impact. And I think with all of the digital platforms out there that, like, oh my gosh, the texts available are awesome. I didn't have that as a teacher in my classroom. I know my students, it was a struggle because the books weren't updated. They weren't of high interest. With all these sites, there's Actively Learn, there's Common Lit, Mayan, Epic. The possibilities are endless. And I think having book clubs or reading with your child at home, I think there's so much to be said for that. So I really want to emphasize that that is an excellent way to keep your kids learning. The power of reading is so important. Hopefully your students are getting more familiar with digital platforms as well, if it's Google Meet or Zoom. I'm personally in an adult book club with my family members from all over the country. So why not do that with your kids, especially with these resources? So keep them having fun, learning and reading every single day. There's so many great texts available. And I know it's a lot. So there are some resources out there to help you as parents with virtual book clubs, whether it's the types of questions that you ask or the types of responses you can expect from your kids. And that's really great as well. And then lastly, I just want to emphasize that, you know, this was a crazy time and many of your students probably did not finish their curriculum in the classroom. So there are continued resources out there that they can keep using. So if your students are using Envision Math, which most of District 30 is using, Amplify Science, again, most of the district is using, there are great resources that kids can continue, that you can support them with at home and just finishing what they were already learning in school. So have fun. Check out what's out there and stay safe.
Thank you, Nicole. Before we continue, I just want to say hello to PS 17, PS 149, obviously PS 84, and everyone that's watching us. And just one quick thing in Spanish. Los que nos están viendo en español, disculpe, estamos teniendo problemas técnicos con los subtítulos, pero vamos a tener la información en español y vamos a tratar de compartirlo eso también en tiempo real. Thank you. And we have a comment also from a parent sharing that they actually took a trip to Yosemite, and I lost a comment now, but it's great to hear like that they're doing these virtual field trips. Gillian, let's go into what about the Queens Public Library? What can families access? Do they need a library card? Share with us what families and students will be seeing from the library, especially to support, you know, combating the summer COVID side, as some are calling it.
Absolutely. So it's a perfect segue from what Nicole was saying, because reading is one of the top ways that families can help their children combat the COVID slide, but it's just our standard summer slide. I mean, this is a bit more extreme, as we know, but every summer children tend to step back in what it is that they learned when they go from that end of year June into that September. So Queens Library every year offers our summer reading program, and this year we are going to be continuing offering it just a little bit differently. We are going to be offering our virtual summer reading program. We invite all families. You do not need a library card to join. You can simply go to summerreading.queenslibrary.org, and you can feel free to join in on all of the reading activities that we have there. So when you do hit it up, you'll see that we have book lists that are broken out by rising grade. So for your kindergarteners and first graders, you will see our book lists, your second and third, all the way up through adult. This year's summer reading theme is Imagine Your Story, which is really exciting because there's so many opportunities to really work with that theme and work with your child to start to see literacy everywhere that you are. So if you are going on those virtual field trips, you can always inject a little literacy through asking your child questions and giving them the opportunity to relay the stories that they've experienced. So it's so much fun to be able to use this theme. One of the exciting things about our book list this year is that most of our books are available as ebooks. So if you're looking at the list and something catches your eye, you can go ahead and click right from the list to the book record from the Queens Library. And if you have a library card, you could check it out right there. If you don't have a library card yet, you can get an e-library card, which will allow you access to all of our e-materials. If you go to queenslibrary.org, there's a button right at the top that says Get Your e-card. You can fill out the form, and that's available to anybody who lives in New York State. So if you are going to be visiting relatives or your children are going to be anywhere this summer, they'll have access to that resource no matter where they are in the world. And if you live in the state, you can have access to all of our e-materials. We're also going to be running a number of analog and virtual, essentially missions or games that you could play with your child. And those are also broken out by age range. So we have them for early learners, for school age, for teen and tween, and some for adult. And it's sort of just ways that you can engage around reading, around writing, around playing and activities that are safe to do while you're at home, and also things to do to engage your child around safe activities outside of your home. So if you are going to be taking a walk, if you are going to be going to the park, maybe you're walking around and you're looking for very specific items. And once you've found the items, you can log on to our Read Squared platform. You can fill out the games and earn badges and certificates as you follow along with the instructions. Sometimes there's a writing component, a drawing component, so there's lots of different opportunities. We also have a literacy engagement that we're doing with school-age children this year. So if you have a writer in your home, we invite you to check out. We'll be doing weekly prompts, which are asking your child to write a short story about a prompt of the week. And if your child's story is chosen, they may be read live on one of our Facebook story times. We will be offering a number of programs on our Facebook Live page, including our story times, which I hope you've checked out. But we have also been engaged with a number of vendors to offer programs like virtual concerts in multiple languages. We will be having magic shows. We are going to be doing a great series about wildlife and animal rescue. So you'll be able to learn about all different types of not only local but exotic animal life, how they're taken care of and how they are cared for in the wild and in refuge. So that's really exciting. We're happy to offer that. We are also excited to offer our Stacks program. So if your child had been a part of the Stacks program, so in District 30, that may have been in the Long Island City Library, it may have been at the Steinway Library, you're going to be continuing to have access to our Stacks program. But even if you were not part of the Stacks program over the school year, it's open to all this year. And that is our version of virtual camp. So what we're going to be offering is 1 hour per grade every day, different types of science experiments, different kinds of specialized cooking programs, sewing programs, programs that your child will be able to learn a skill or an activity that's really geared toward their grade. So this will be broken up. We'll have kindergarten, first grade for 1 hour. The next hour will be second and third, and the following will be fourth and fifth. Anybody who wants to participate is welcome. In order to participate, we're going to ask that you check out the queenslibrary.org. In July, for the registration, you'll see a button that's available to you to register your child to join in on those programs. And once you do, then you'll receive all of the links and access you need to take part in those programs. Lastly, I do want to make mention that we will be having a number of science and bilingual programs that are being offered by our staff, predominantly from the Corona Library. So anybody who is a frequent user of that library, you may see some friendly faces. Offering science biweekly programs, offering our early learning bilingual programs, as well as some fun bilingual music and science programs. So we hope that you take advantage of those. And that is what's going on with Queens Library.
That's a lot of options for families. And it's great to, we have the local branches that are now also available virtually. And so I think there's a lot of options to keep children entertained and still have the sort of virtual outdoor experience and then, balance that with the real outdoor experience. So just some shout outs to one of my school, PS 148, hello, PS 150, PS 70, PS 11, IS 145. I also went to IS 145, PS 92, PS 166. So we have so many families from all over the district, school district 30 joining us. And they're sharing really great ideas as well. At PS 84, one of the teachers took the students on a virtual trip to San Diego Zoo and to Disney Orlando. So it was a great experience. Another grade took a virtual trip to the Historical Society. So we're seeing this creativity as well, right? There are ways to have sort of these entertainment and engagement virtually. Obviously, we prefer the real interactions, but these are a good balance in the times that we're in. So I'm excited for families to hear some of the creative and easy ways to keep your children learning through arts and outdoor activities. Eleni from PS 84, and I know her school is watching, and a lot of families that have their children at PS 84 are watching. Eleni is gonna show us some real practical examples that you can do at home. So I'm going to, Eleni, let me know which one you want me to show first.
Yes, we're good. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you for having me. The scavenger hunt, let's go with that first. So these are some activities that you could do at home with your children. One is a scavenger hunt, just a little set of colors, and you go on a little walk with your kids and they find things that are purple, that are blue, that are yellow, that are brown. They can write that down. They could go home after, they can sketch them out. If you can move on to the next slide, where I went on a walk with my daughter for a scavenger hunt, and we gathered in a little Ziploc bag. That's all you need, a little Ziploc bag just around the block. And she gathered some leaves and some twigs and flowers that were petals on the floor. And what she did is she came back home after, and I took a long construction paper that I had. We put it out on the table, and she created different artwork with it. If you can move on to the next slide, Carolina, where the artwork is displayed, that would be great. I have it also here.
Is it the pasta one? Which one?
I made a butterfly. No, the
butterfly.
The tree.
These? No.
No. It's okay. I have them here. I'm showing them. So all these she made with just, I don't know if you can see, just by using twigs and leaves and beautiful arrangements. You can paste these on a piece of paper, or you can actually use them and reuse them for many projects. It's okay, Carolina, I have them up. I'm showing them. So that was one exciting activity that you could do. And it doesn't require much. It just requires a Ziploc bag that you can take a walk with your children with. The next activity is called the beading activity. It's also great for special needs kids and for everyone. My son has special needs, and it's a great activity to use because it improves the cognitive skills. You can start using beads to help your little ones count, sort, addition, subtraction, patterns. So Carolina, if you could go to the beading one, that would be great, the beading pictures. So that's the simple thing to do with that is this. So you take a little pasta. If you don't have the beads at home, I have a little pasta, penne, which I cook almost 3 times a week. Putting them in a little bag with a little paint for about 5 minutes, taking them out, letting them to dry, as you can see on the picture, putting them in the bag for the next day. This is a grab and go activity. Parents can have this in your bag when you're out and about. If you're at a restaurant and you need your child to be focused and doing something productive, they could do this activity there. They could do it in the car, at the park. So these are the beautiful colors of the beads. If you can see, okay, they're a little penne colored. You take a little string, and he was able to string it through. Again, the attention here for special needs kids is an amazing activity for them because they do sit for a while and they do love this activity. They can make patterns, they can add, they can subtract, they can use it for color, shape, texture. So my son made a necklace like this, and also this, just one string. They can even have they can put it on a table and draw pictures with this. They can make the letters of the alphabet. They can draw different shapes just by using these beads. This is an amazing activity to have with you wherever you go in your bag. It's just a grab and go little Ziploc bag of fun activities you could do. The next one, Carolina, if you can go to the shape art. The shape art. So these are a couple of shapes that I used in my class as well. It's a bag. If you don't have these shapes, particularly, they're foam shapes, they're triangles, squares, rectangles, trapezoids. You can make them like as I did here. I made like little shapes and I colored them with my kids. They cut them out. Again, another grab and go activity. You put these shapes in a bag and take them with you. If you're sitting at a restaurant, you could just give your kids that Ziploc bag. They can make different shapes, different artwork, like the one you pictured, that's pictured there. That's my daughter made that one. And then here's another one if you wanted to actually paste it and use it. That's also a great, and it also teaches them math. It teaches them all the shapes, again, colors, patterns. Again, another grab and go activity that's great for kids. Carolina, can you go to the paper towel one with the flower?
With the flower.
The paper towel. That's my favorite. The paper towel. That one. Okay.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Everyone has these paper towel rolls and their toilet paper rolls. God knows how many of these we have at home. The simple thing to do here is take a ruler to make a nice, beautiful flower. You can measure out whatever size you want your petals to be. You put a little mark on that. You can cut your petal out. Now you have a little Ziploc bag filled with these petals. The kids can draw them. I have some here for you to show. The kids can draw, they can color, they can use paint, they can use markers, crayons, oil pastels, whatever you have at home. They can put these together with just a little bit of glue. You glue the top piece, just the top part. Put about 8 of these together. It would look like this, 8 of these together. So when you open it up, it becomes like a beautiful little flower. And at the end, you have this. So this is another grab and go activity. You can put these beforehand at night in a Ziploc bag, a little glue stick, that's all you need. Maybe some crayons. And this is something that they can also do everywhere, at a restaurant, like I said, in the park, in the car. So that's another one of my favorites that I always have this in my bag as well. Carolina, the last one is the weaving. Okay, this is also one of my favorites. The weaving activity, very simple. So what you do is all you need is a piece of paper, put some lines with a ruler across, you fold the paper in half. Again, you can have this as a grab to go activity. You cut the strips out. The strips then would look like this, all open. You already have the strips cut out, and all you need to do, I'm just going to slide one out to show you how to put it in. So this is what you would end up with. You don't cut the top part, you just cut the little parts out. And then what you do is you just weave it through. So one over, one under, and this is an amazing activity, especially for kids that have fine motor skills. This is amazing to do with them. In one, out on the other side, and you have your first string there. You could measure your strips according to your paper and have that ready, or you could just take a scissor and cut to the edge. And you have a nice activity here, like that. And then the next one, you do the opposite, over, under, over, under. I'll do it really quick here. This is so good for them to do, whether they're sitting, they're relaxing. It is a relaxing activity. You could do many different patterns with this. So then you end up with a beautiful pattern like this. And you can give it as a gift. They can put it as a nice mat. If you laminate it, it becomes a beautiful mat. The last thing I want to show you is how to make paint without having paint at home. You can take markers like these that are dry, put them in a little cup with water, and look at the amazing color that this brings overnight. I have this overnight, and if you take a little paintbrush, if you don't have a paintbrush, you can use a Q-tip. Look at the great color this makes just by a marker that wasn't even used. It was a dry marker. That's one great thing you could do with your markers. Recycle them. I recycle everything. The last thing is these shells that you can paint with that paint that I just showed you. My daughter did this with markers, and this one with paint. So these are rocks and shells. If you're at the beach, you can find rocks. If you're around your neighborhood, and if you see a beautiful rock, pick it up, create something beautiful with it. These are just some fun ideas. I'm going to post all these on my Instagram account at liveloveart84 and Eleni's Artists. So you can have them at hand. You can go and look, and they'll always be there for you. There's other activities also on my site that a parent can go and look and download. Do you want me to go over the activities, Carolina, now on the paper?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to, I think, Eleni, if you can speak a little to some of the things of, as you're going outside, right?
Okay.
Once you get to the process of like collecting all this of these, but like when they're just walking around the neighborhood,
right?
The sketching that you mentioned, those things.
Right. So when you're going around the neighborhood, all you need is a little sketchbook. So you have a little sketchbook with you. You have it in your bag, whether you're sitting in your front stoop or when you're at the park and you see the beautiful bridge, try to sketch the bridge. Try to sketch the trees, or try to tell your children, oh, let's talk about flowers and let's talk about life cycles. Or maybe they see a butterfly. Maybe you could teach them the butterfly cycle. So all these things they could do anywhere. A sketchbook and a pencil can be taken anywhere. As you're walking down the street, pay attention to the beautiful buildings in Astoria and in all the other neighborhoods. Be aware of your surroundings. See who is around you. Those are all things that you could do while you're outdoors.
Thank you, Eleni. So I think we've shared a lot of ideas. We actually have one that a parent submitted earlier, and I'll read it here, which is visit your local farmer's market. It's safe, it's educational, free, and fun. My children and I always have a great time when we visit. The children enjoy talking to the farmers about their items, and the farmers are patient and kind in talking to the children about their products. Beautiful. So we love hearing these ideas. I think there's so many ways to be creative For those that are watching us, hello again, Queens North. I know you're present. Thank you. It's always great having all the support from Department of Education and the Queens North office. So let us know what ideas you have and put them in the comments so we can read them here. Ebony, anything you want to add again around? Sometimes we forget about the parks that are nearby, and big parks, small parks, and even like basic games and water fun. What are some things that we kind of should bring back before all the technology sort of took over our lives?
Absolutely. I just, let's go on that wavelength, tap into your curiosity, right, through this entire time. And, all of the ideas that you have around kids just going out and being real interactive. I think one of the things, okay, think about a pool. You get wet, you have a good time. There's a water hose nearby, right? The landlord has a water hose downstairs. Maybe you say, within my circle of kids that I work with, can we get the water hose out and spray the kids, on the sidewalk? I remember that when I was young and I had a blast. I mean, it was like probably just as good as the pool. I always had fun with that. Really taking from the whole virtual field trip thing. Taking that virtual field trip and turning it into an activity. So if you go and visit Mount Everest, right, go to Central Park and climb the rocks safely and compare it to climbing Mount Everest, right? You go on trekking or hiking events virtually online, and you take all of that information, write it down and say, we're going to the park and we're going to imagine that we're in this place or location, and then we're going to play it out in the park, and we're going to all work together with that. So I think expanding your imagination and really thinking about ways to tap into your imagination during this time is really important. So, do what you have to do and use what you have to use in order to make that happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think also creativity around things that you can do outdoors that you haven't had time because the weather, it was cold, or we were just, working or going to school. And I think somebody on Facebook shared how they spent time during the pandemic to beautify their alleyway with outdoor furniture, pots and flowers, and even a little pool. So I think there are many ways to be creative. I don't think we have any questions. I think we've shared so many ideas that I don't see any questions here from those that are watching. So be sure to post your questions if you have any questions. The other thing I wanted to sort of just go into is more around the resources. I want to do like a round robin, and Senator Jessica Ramos will be joining soon. So before she comes on board, Gillian, maybe can we talk a little bit more around the sort of the hours of service, and a little more on how they can access the library card and some of the resources available for connecting with the Queens Library?
Sure. So again, if you have your physical library card, if you've already gotten that, then you can go ahead and use it for all of our electronic material. If you do not have a physical library card, we welcome you to go ahead, go to queenslibrary.org. There's a small button right at the top of the page where it says Get Your e-card, and there's a quick form that you fill out there. If you do have any questions about getting a library card or any of our e-resources, downloading ebooks from Overdrive, you can always call the Queens Public Library. We're available to you, just like we would be in our branches, and somebody can help walk you through the process of whatever it is that you're questioning. Also, if you have general questions just about resources that we have available, always go ahead and give us a call. We have numerous language capacities, so Spanish, Bengali, Mandarin, Cantonese, Russian, Urdu. We speak about, I believe, 75 languages at the Queens Public Library. So we're happy to help you in the language that is easiest for you. I don't know, Carolina, did you want me to talk a little bit about the screen time now, or save it?
You can share about the screen time, because I do want to right now, like everyone, if all of you can share sort of one quick sort of things for families to keep in mind, and I think the screen time will definitely be helpful. And then after everyone sort of shares their tip or resource, we'll introduce our Senator Jessica Ramos shortly to talk about Census and why it's important to be part of our summer plans. So if you want to just finish your point around screen time, that would be great.
Sure. For many of you, I'm sure that you have heard various studies and things in regards to the screen time. I know at the library, we are often giving people lots of different information from partners about the value of interactive and real experiences. But we also understand that at this time, a lot of us are talking about our virtual resources. So I think it is just a quick thing that you can keep in mind when you are doing or using a screen with your child, the value of different types of interactions. So you want to keep in mind that the highest value interaction your child can have on a screen is directly talking one-on-one with somebody else. So if you have friends, family that are outside of your quarantine circle, but you still want to connect, you can go ahead and use the plethora of platforms out there to make those one-on-one direct interactions. And that is the highest value of your screen time. After that, you really want to consider screen time that is interactive for your children. So are they watching something like an activity video? Maybe you've turned on Go Noodle and you're doing some silly dancing, or you're jumping around, or they're learning a new activity or skill. Those are the types of screen time that you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure that your child is doing something where they're thinking or interacting. And then, of course, we always have that sort of passive screen interactions as well. And again, you want to keep your passive screen interactions, your standard, sort of TV interactions, to a minimum or to a time frame. So you want to keep in mind whatever that time frame is for your family. If it's an hour, if it's more or less, you want to try and vary those screen activities that you're doing with your child, just to make sure that they are getting the most out of the different activities that are available to them.
Thank you, Gillian. Just one quick question from, does the Queens Library have phone support in Arabic?
So if you give a call, I believe we do have Arabic support. I cannot tell you if it is full support in all of our resources, but I do know that we have support in language, so somebody can speak to you in Arabic.
Okay, great. I want to bring in Senator Jessica Ramos. Let me see if she's, okay. Here we are. So excited to have Senator Jessica Ramos here to talk about the census. I don't know if you may have, I think you froze. Let's,
Hi, everyone. I'm having some connection issues. My apologies.
Do you want to try coming back in? You're frozen right now.
Right. Well, I'm gonna guess that every.
Yeah, we're not.
Thank you so much.
We're having a hard time hearing you. We don't hear you. I'm wondering if, yeah, okay. Well, while she gets back on, I do, as a reminder, just want to share with other families, just like one thing that each of you want to share to keep in mind. Eleni, Nicole, Ebony, whoever wants to go next.
Yeah, I'll go next. Just a reminder to use the outdoors, be safe, use whatever materials you have at home to create art with. You don't need the crayons, you don't really need the colored pencils, and you don't need too many materials to make art. You can make art with practically anything. So be creative, be imaginative, keep in mind to always be safe, aware of your surroundings, close to your family members, and always keep your sketchbook with you.
I would say that there are many of us who have gained the COVID-19, right? So I would encourage everyone to think about playing with your children, right? running, moving, tag, anything that you can do to feel a part of the play with your child. I think it's really important. It helps to build bridges, build bonding with your child. And then it also helps in you losing weight and feeling good about yourself, which to me is the ultimate thing, right? If you feel mentally well and your physical follows that mental wellness. So stay mentally well, bond with your children, and have a great time doing it.
And I will echo that and just say, I think we are all speaking about variety and balance, and making sure that we have that variety of academic and instructional support for our kids, knowing that there is a big summer slide and COVID gap they're going to come into school with, but also making sure that they have fun, because this has been a stressful time for everybody. So use the amazing resources out there. Think about the power of reading, the power of talk, and how you can leverage on what the kids have learned and how they have grown in this digital age of remote learning, and how you can keep that going in a meaningful way this summer.
Thank you so much, everyone, for those suggestions and things to keep in mind. I think we have Jessica back on, so let me bring her up. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you. I'm so sorry that I'm having so many technological difficulties. I'm only a millennial by age. I'm not as technologically savvy as I should be, perhaps. But thank you so much to everyone at Kids Rise for inviting me. Of course, the issues of education, and particularly of elementary education, are very important to me for several reasons. One is that I'm a mother of a soon-to-be 7-year-old and a soon-to-be 9-year-old, who I'm sure eventually you'll see running around. But also, I happened to work on pre-K for all and on many of the other elementary school initiatives at the city level that took place a few years ago. And I'm very thankful and appreciative of all of the advocacy and all of the community organizing your organization does. I offered today are helpful to the parents because right now, of course, we're at such a critical time, and I'm sure that everybody has already expressed how critical it is that during this pandemic we understand what happened, how it happened, and why it happened this way. I'm right now want to talk to you about where it is that because based on these experiences that we've had within the past few months, we need to recommit to build bigger and build better when it comes to redesigning and reimagining it, what an education should look in New York with equity and of course is especially important for our youngest learners, who of course depend on during developments to feel empowered and enriched.
Sorry, Senator, we're having some trouble hearing you.
Curious and critical thinkers. So that's all to say that we need our education system to be funded.
Senator, I think you froze. Yeah, we lost some connection with her. We're having a hard time hearing you, Senator. You're breaking up a lot. All right, so before we, we'll bring her back in a moment. I do want to remind our families that are part of the Safer College program that another very important activity is completing the building blocks in the program. Your children are among 10,000 children in the program that have these NYC scholarship accounts. So if you haven't activated your account, our team is here to help. You can contact us, you can call us, you can follow us on social media. So if you need help completing the building blocks, whether that's activating your child's NYC scholarship account. So you can check out the funds that they have already for their future, or opening your own account, or even some support with how you can take the next step with Building Block 3. Give us a call at 833-543-7473, 833-543-7473. Our team speaks many languages, and we can support in that way. So just a reminder of that. And we have Jessica back. Let's see. I think she froze again. Oh, bummer. Okay. We'll give her a moment. So any questions from our families that are watching? Anything else that would be helpful? We've seen so many great ideas. I'm going through your comments right now. So many things, a great comment around the amazing things going in Queens Library. We're putting all the resources and all the comments in all the links that Eleni, Gillian, Nicole, and some of the things that Ebony shared as well. We've put them in the comments, and we'll make this available after. This will be available after for you to watch, but we'll do a little recap as well, just to have everything in one place. We'll give Senator Ramos just a moment to see if she can join back. I know it was very important for her to talk about the census, the importance of getting counted. This is, representative of who we are, where we live. It's safe. Information is not going to be shared. No information about immigration or things like that are being asked. This is understanding how many people are in your household and your family, to make sure that we have the resources accounted for the people that are living, especially here in New York City, right? This is across the country, but in New York City, in Queens, in all the boroughs. I think we don't have Senator yet. Okay. So anything else, ladies, that you want to share before we wrap up?
Support NYC Kids Rise. Make sure you tell your friends about this. And the contributions matter, guys. Go out, and if you know friends who can contribute and make an impact in this way, education is the way out of poverty. I do believe that, and I've seen it happen, and I've seen so many people change their lives because of it. So I'm encouraging people to share the message.
Thank you, Ebony. That's so true. And we have Senator Ramos back, and let me see.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, great.
I don't know what's going on. It's honestly the first time I ever even hear about this StreamYard. I don't know, but it's not working very well for me. Either way, I'll pick up where I left off, which was that I really wanted to advocate for the fact that our public education system is chronically underfunded and has been so for a long time. So for anybody who lives in my district, in Jackson Heights and Corona and East Elmhurst, our district is defunded by $42 million every year. And so a lot of the consideration for funding comes from the level, which means that those decisions are informed by our patient and our community, by the census. That's why every single family participate in the census.
I'm so sorry about that, to all those watching. We'll make sure that we'll work with Senator Ramos's office to just share in a video what she wanted to make sure that everyone's aware around why it's so important for us to be counted, why it's so important for us to do the census. We'll just answer one question and then we'll wrap up. We have one. What should we emphasize more, academic or just reading and art? Don't want to add more pressure at this time. Thoughts? What should the emphasis be? Anyone want to take that?
I'll take that. Carolina, I feel that it should be a balance of both. Art is therapy, and you can also learn through art. Like I mentioned before, with beading, that's counting, colors, learning about the environment, the scavenger hunt, science. So a balance of both, because the children do need less pressure at this point. So I feel a balance of both would be great, and art should be right in there.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add before we wrap up?
Carolina, I was just going to say that I think something that came out of this, again, the idea of balance, and a good tip for parents and families, and something that a lot of our teachers have stressed too, is the idea of a schedule. I mean, if you think about when your kids are actually in school, they have a balance between literacy, math, science, art, gym, play. So that can easily be translated at home. And a lot of the resources that all of us have mentioned today that Carolina said were going to be posted have sample schedules that you can actually use when helping your kids at home. So especially if you're a scheduled person like me as a child, or now, putting a balance in and actually seeing it there is super helpful, especially in these unstructured times.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eleni, Gillian, Nicole, Ebony, to Senator Ramos. Unfortunately, we had some connection issues, but we'll get back to you on the importance of the census. It's not, the summer. We're just getting started, so that's one of many activities that we'll need to do. Congrats to all the families celebrating graduations. We commend you and our school community for the wonderful work that is being done and continues to be done. It's interesting, incredible times. So just keep in mind that we're here, a community supporting each other with NYC Kids Rise and this wonderful group with the Department of Education, Queens Library, all the resources that we have available